If you commit a crime, it's very obvious you'll be filed with a punishment. Depending on the seriousness of the crime, you might also get a life sentence. Sounds scary? Committing a serious crime and expecting a small punishment sounds naive. But some women have crossed the bars of crime very badly. As we all know, there are a lot of criminals that commit horrible and evil crimes. But when it's time for those criminals to face their verdicts, some of them react in strange ways. Here's the list of top 10 female convicts who freaked out after being given a life sentence. Number 10. Diana Lovejoy. Diana Lovejoy, a woman from Carlsbad, San Diego, was arrested for a plot to kill her estranged husband. Diana Lovejoy and Weldon McDavid Jr. conspired to kill Greg Mulvihill as they were in the middle of a bitter divorce battle. The shooting happened in September 2016 as Lovejoy and Mulvihill were wrapping up a controversial divorce and a bitter custody battle over their son. Diana Lovejoy freaked out so hard that she fainted when her guilty verdict was read out in court. Even though the man survived the murder attempt, Diana was sentenced to 26 years to life in prison. Weldon McDavid Jr. received 50 years to life in prison because he was the one who pulled the trigger and shot the victim on a dark dirt path in Carlsbad. Lovejoy was taken out of the court in a stretcher. Number 9. Mitchell Blair. This woman was a mother of 4, but she took out 2 of them very sadly. These include her 9-year-old Steven and her 13-year-old Stoney. The cops found the bodies of these 2 innocent children in a freezer. Inside a white deep freezer located in the living room of the home was the frozen body of a teenage girl wrapped in a large plastic bag. When police arrived, they made yet another discovery, the body of a boy right underneath her. This was such a messed up activity, so unsurprisingly she was sentenced to life behind bars with no parole. Hearing this, Mitchell freaked out so many times in jail. Mitchell Blair confessed to the murders at the Wayne County Circuit Court. She told Judge Dana Hathaway that she killed her demons after finding out they were raping her youngest son, a claim that has never been substantiated. She was even sent out of court so many times due to her unhelpful nature. Number 8. Alexandria Thomas. Alexandria was accused of stabbing her boyfriend to death outside a supermarket in Palm Beach. Investigators with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said the 2 got into a fight Wednesday in the parking lot of their Publix store in Royal Palm Beach. Investigators said that's when Thomas pulled out an 8-inch knife from her purse and stabbed Genovese in the chest. It's unclear why the couple was arguing. Alexandria was standing before a judge who told her that her boyfriend is in a medically induced coma after she stabbed him. Hearing this, the woman understood how serious the charges were going to be against her for the crime. Alexandria and her mother broke down in court. Her mother started crying and Alexandria freaked out after hearing the verdict. The scene in the court was very intense and emotional at that point. Number 7. Keyonna Cook. Keyonna engaged in a plot to steal some money from someone with whom she was talking on a dating app. As she wasn't interested in a date, she and her boyfriend carjacked the guy, but this went wrong when the Tinder date ended up getting shot. At that time, she was just turning 18, so she was termed as an adult and the judge decided to give her 20 years of a life sentence. Hearing this, her mother started crying and screaming so loud that she had to be taken out of the court by the policeman. Keyonna also cried and freaked out very badly after hearing the punishment. Number 6. Regina Johnson. This woman was convicted of the double killing of her daughter and her husband. She was sentenced to 80 years to life on May 30th of 2012 on the accusation of the murder of Aaliyah Johnson and Reuben Johnson. Regina Johnson was found to have stayed with the dead bodies of the pair for 3 days in their home in San Carlos. A San Diego jury found Johnson guilty in October of second-degree murder in the deaths of her husband Reuben Johnson, 56, and their 14-year-old daughter Aaliyah, who was shot in the back of her head. This woman admitted to shooting her husband as a part of her self-defense after he killed their daughter. But due to the lack of evidence in this sentence, the jury didn't agree with her. Evidence including the gunshot wounds, blood spatter patterns, location of the bodies, and Johnson's DNA on the pistol and her fingerprints on the magazine all pointed to her as the shooter. She had an outburst and freaked out in court after hearing the 80 years of a life sentence for her crime.
guilty of the crime of first-degree murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A.
Number 5. Kayla Ray Norton. White supremacists Kayla Ray Norton and Jose Torres Guerre crashed a black 8-year-old's birthday party with guns and a Confederate flag in Douglasville in July 2015. They repeatedly used the N-word for the children. Considering this racially motivated outburst came less than a month after a fellow supremacist, Dylan Roof, killed 9 African Americans in the church, Douglas Superior County Court Judge McLean said that the defendant's actions were motivated by racial hatred as he sentenced Torres to 20 years, with 13 to serve in prison and 7 on supervised release. Norton was sentenced to 15 years, with 6 to serve and 9 on probation. After hearing her guilty verdict, Kayla became very emotional and started crying in court. She even admitted using the N-word to the children.
But I want you all to know that that is not me. That is not me.
Number 4. Tatiana Fusari. This 27-year-old woman, Tatiana, and her husband, Seth Welch, were both accused of killing their daughter. Well, they didn't directly kill her, but their daughter passed away due to the lack of food and water. Tatiana Fusari, 29, pleaded no contest to second-degree murder and second-degree child abuse in January. After her husband Seth Welch, 29, was convicted on the first-degree murder and child abuse charges. Those charges carry a sentence of mandatory life in prison. Both of them were given a punishment of life sentences for this crime. They repelled back, saying their religion didn't allow them to seek any medical help. After hearing the verdict, Tatiana started crying and freaked out in court.
Serious physical harm to a child.
Number 3. Elizabeth Escalona. Mother Elizabeth Escalona abused her daughter so badly, she beat her and glued her hands to the wall. This woman was considered guilty of kicking her toddler daughter in the stomach, saying it was her potty training. Police say she kicked her daughter in the stomach, beat her with a milk jug, then stuck her hands to an apartment wall with an adhesive commonly known as superglue. She was given a 99-year life sentence behind the bars. Hearing her punishment, she had a very strong reaction.
I'll set your sentence at confinement in the penitentiary for a period of 99 years. The sentence goes into effect today. In law, my sentence should not be pronounced at this time. Safely held, to be turned over to a duly authorized receiving agent.
Number 2. Jody Herring. This woman shot and killed a state social worker and 3 of her relatives as an act of revenge for losing custody of her then 9-year-old daughter. Herring shot and killed Lara Sobel, a social worker, as she was leaving work at the state's Department for Children and Families in Barr. She was later also found to have killed her 2 cousins and an aunt. Herring shot and killed her 3 family members, who she believed was responsible for her 9-year-old daughter being taken by the Vermont Department for Children and Families. Herring, accused of this crime, was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. After hearing her guilty verdict, Herring started crying and admitted her crime happened due to her anger and wanting revenge for losing her child's custody.
I can't take back that day. I wish I could, but I can't.
Number 1. Erika Mae Butts and Shanita Latrice Cunningham. This pair of women were sent behind bars for the rest of their life after they were accused of beating toddler Serenity Richardson to death. Erika Mae Butts, being the child's grandmother, paired with her lover Shanita to beat the 3-year-old girl to death. Their defense line in the court was, "We didn't know we would kill her." The judge slammed them to the ground with a life sentence. After hearing their guilty verdict, they first cried and screamed. Slowly, things got more dramatic in the court. Both of those women collapsed and fell on the floor. They were taken out of court in wheelchairs. Do you know of another story that should be in this list? Which freakouts made you cringe? Let us know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe for more interesting videos.